Hello and welcome to my channel Passionate PT. So today we're going to discuss about the MCA syndrome, that is middle cerebral artery syndrome. So let's start. So MCA, as the name suggests, that's for middle cerebral artery syndrome. This is the second, you may say, the second type of the cerebrovascular accident. The first I've explained the anterior cerebral artery syndrome, and now I'm going to explain the middle cerebral artery. Now again, this is middle cerebral artery is one of the component of, or one of the artery that is a part of one of the arteries that are the part of the circle of Willis. So circle of Willis, as circulation is something about circulation of the brain, so any rupture to the middle cerebral artery will result in some specific sign and symptoms that will indicate the rupture of MCA. So I'll again like to give a brief description about of middle cerebral artery. So circle of Willis, that is the circulation of the brain, is in the form of the circle that is composed of anterior and posterior circulation. Okay. So middle cerebral artery, being part of the anterior circulation, have made a rough figure from the anterior side of the brain, or you may say in the frontal plane. From the common carotid artery arises the internal carotid artery that goes straight upward towards the brain, and in between the two cerebral hemisphere, supplying their medial surfaces from anterior to posterior, being called as anterior cerebral artery. From the medial surface anterior to posterior, an artery loops out on the superior and lateral surface. On the superior, like it's, you can say this is the cerebral hemisphere, the superior, and if these are the two cerebral hemisphere, in the middle will be the middle cerebral artery. Anterior cerebral artery. These anterior to posterior surfaces will be supplied by the anterior cerebral artery, and then artery loops around the superior and lateral surface of the cortex. That will be your middle cerebral artery. Okay, and that middle cerebral artery will supply the frontal lobe, temporal lobe, and parietal lobe. Okay, now injury to the middle cerebral artery will be more devastating than the anterior cerebral artery, because between the two anterior cerebral artery, here I've shown the single artery, but there are two arteries supplying the left and right medial surfaces of corresponding cerebral hemispheres. In between the two anterior cerebral artery, there is presence of anterior communicating artery, but that if there is damage to the anterior cerebral artery of one cerebral hemisphere before the anterior communicating artery, that communicating artery from the other side can provide a compensation to the damaged side. But if there is damage to the middle cerebral artery, that cannot provide there is no compensation for the damage. So when there will be no compensation, damage to it, this artery will be more extensive as compared to the anterior cerebral artery. Now, middle cerebral artery damage result in specific sign and symptoms, which I would like to explain. So let's start. You'll have contralateral hemiparesis and hemisensory loss, mainly in the upper extremity. So if you have watched my previous video of anterior cerebral artery, this is more or less related to that. For anterior cerebral artery, the hemiparesis, hemisensory loss was more in the lower extremity, but for the middle cerebral artery, it is mainly in the upper extremity. Now again, the reason is that why it is more in the upper extremity as compared to the lower extremity. The motor area, the motor area of the primary motor cortex which controls the upper extremity are mainly supplied by the middle cerebral artery. So if there is any damage to the middle cerebral artery, both the hemiparesis and hemisensory loss, that means motor weakness, muscle weakness, and sensory disturbances will mainly be apparent and prominent in the upper extremity. Okay, if the damage is very extensive, that can even lead to hemiplegia and complete sensory loss. That depends on the extent of the damage. Now let's go to the second symptom, that is Wernicke's aphasia and Broca's aphasia. Now what is aphasia? Aphasia is something related to the communication problem. Now here one thing you need to understand, that it is not the problem of components of production of speech. That means there is no problem with the larynx, that there is no problem with the muscles who are responsible for production of speech. There is no hearing issue. So this is not the issue that is related to structure related to the production of the speech. In fact this is something problem in the brain, and that is something related to the comprehension. For example, the patients of Wernicke's aphasia, they'll not be able to understand what you are asking them to do. For example, if you hear any voice which you have not heard before, if you hear any language, like if I talk Chinese to you, or if I talk French, or like any language which you have not heard before, if I talk to you in that language, you'll hear that language, but you won't be able to understand that what I'm saying to you. So that is what happens to the Wernicke's aphasia, that they hear your words, but they can't comprehend it, they can't understand it, that what actually you want them to do. So that is called Wernicke's aphasia. And next is Broca's aphasia. Now what happens with the Broca's aphasia patient, that they hear and they understand what you are saying to them, but they are unable to answer you or explain you what you have asked them. Like they can understand you, but they are not able to answer you. They don't know how to answer, which words they should use to explain the answer. So this is what happens with the Broca's aphasia. And both the Wernicke's and Broca's aphasia are found in the MCA syndrome patients. Okay, and next is the perceptual deficit. Now perceptual deficits, the most important thing about that, you need to understand what is a perception. Okay, perception is something, perception is understanding of the thing. For example, if you see something, like if you see that something is on fire, you immediately go and try to pour water on the burning surface so that you can get rid of the fire. But this is what you have understood after looking at the thing. You looked at the danger with your eyes, your brain processed that danger and told you to go and get some water to put on the fire. But what happens with perceptual deficit, that these people become unable to understand the meaning of the thing. For example, if they come and they see that something is on fire, their eyes will be seeing it, but they won't be able to understand that what they need to do next with this. They won't be able to understand that they need to put water on that fire. So that means there will be disturbance with the perception. There's one important thing is that the patient of perceptual deficit will have normal sensation. That means visually they'll be okay, all the senses will be fine. They'll be seeing the things, they'll be looking, they'll be hearing the things, they'll be feeling the things, but they'll lose the ability to understand the meaning of those sensations. Okay, so these are they are the it includes unilateral neglect and other like spatial deficit, depth deficit. They won't be able to understand that one surface is more deep than the other and stuff like that. Then is the contralateral homonymous hemianopsia. Now contralateral homonymous hemianopsia means that their field of vision will be reduced. Okay, their field of vision will be reduced. It's like what is field of vision? That even if you're looking straight at something, you'll be able to have vision on your left and right side of your head, even if your eyes are looking straight. So that all is your field of vision. But in them, patients of homonymous hemianopsia, the field of vision will be half or even less than half at some places, and the field of vision will be very little for them. Like if you're standing in front of them, it may be possible that they are looking they can see only half of your body, like they can see right side of your body and they are unable to see the left side of your body. So to compensate, what they can do, that they can turn your head to see you, they can turn their head to see your whole body, your both sides of your body. That means that their field of vision is reduced. So that is homonymous hemianopsia, and it is on the opposite side. Then is the lacunar stroke. Now what is lacunar stroke? Lacunar stroke, it is pure motor hemiplegia. What does that mean? That means that those parts of the internal capsule. Now what is internal capsule? Internal capsule is compilation of all the tracts traveling to and from the brain. Okay, like those tracts which are traveling towards the brain and those tracts which are traveling from the brain towards the periphery, they jumble up they combine or they compile at a point while traveling through the brain and forms the internal capsule. So internal capsule is something combination of sensory and motor tracts. So if there is damage to the internal capsule, like in the case of the MCA syndrome, and if only that part of the internal capsule is damaged, that is having motor tracts, this will result in only motor weakness and all the sensory sensations of that person will be fine, and this will be called as lacunar stroke or pure motor hemiplegia. Sensory ataxia, okay, again because parietal lobe will be affected, sensory ataxia can result. Now apraxia. Apraxia can occur. Now apraxia again is of two types, ideational and idiomotor apraxia. In idiomotor apraxia, when you ask the person, apraxia means that the person is not able to understand what you have asked the person. If you ask a person to perform a task, he will not be able to do that task when you'll ask that person to do that. Now idiomotor, the person with the idiomotor apraxia, what will happen, that when you'll ask the person to if you ask the person to drink a glass of water, he'll not be able to understand you that you are saying him to drink a glass of water. After some time, when you see, that person will automatically get a glass of water from his side and he will be drinking it. So people with the idiomotor apraxia, they can do the task automatically, but they cannot do when you'll say them to do it. So that is idiomotor apraxia. And the ideational apraxia, those are the patients who cannot do anything at all, whether if even when you'll ask them to do it, they won't be able to do it, and they won't be able to do it afterwards on their own as a reflex. That means they'll not be able to do the thing at all. Okay, so those will be the patient of ideational apraxia. So this is all about MCA syndrome. Hope you like the video. Thank you very much.